Hello, and welcome to NJ Thrive's Small Business Webinars. Today is Thursday, June 15th, and you are attending one of our weekly webinars created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. Thank you so much for being here, for taking out your time and joining us on a busy day like Thursday. My name is Uzma Sheikh. I am your host and moderator for today, and you are joining part of the series hosted by America's New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. And this series is part of our tech team. So in honor of that, this is information that we have. So NJSBDC exclusive technology commercialization team provides technical support and guidance to eligible innovators for SBIR and STTR grants to fund the R&D towards commercialization of tech innovations. If you see on the map here, you'll see little SBDC logos where all the counties of New Jersey are, and that's where our 11 regional centers are located. If you'd like assistance with any NJSBDC counseling services, we provide. Our main services are no-cost pitch to proposal consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one, exclusive small business tech resources. And if you'd like to learn more, go to njsbdc.com. If you are here participating and you are a tech business or just a small business, feel free to let us know in the chat where you're joining from, what your small business is about, what you do, any website or contact information, socials you'd like to share. And who knows, you might find an investor or a partner or any supporter and just a cheerleader in the chat. So feel free to share if you'd like to. And our agenda today with our webinars, as usual, are some of the headlines that we'd like to share, part of our small business community, any program, any news, any upgrades, or any events happening that have happened or will be happening. We like to share that just so you are in the know. And we'll have our presentation and then the Q&A session after. So I have a couple of headlines to share with you today, and these are all tech world related. And all of these headlines the links for these headlines will be available in the chat below. So feel free to take a look on your own time. I will just go over these briefly. There is a Tech Connect World Innovation Conference and Expo happening June 19th to 21st in Washington, D.C. And this is soon, so just in a couple of days, actually. And this is, if you're interested in knowing who the key speakers are, viewing the program by sector, everything is included here. This is happening in Washington, D.C., so definitely in person. You can see all the sponsors and agency partners here. So definitely a huge thing happening if you'd like to know the full program, any of these special symposiums, everything will be available here. Moving on, we've shared some of these headlines recently. So if you're seeing this is, you're definitely in the know. But if you're new, then these are programs that you definitely want to check out. So Clean Tech Propellus I-4 Regional Program, applied by June 19th, also in a couple of days. Program session dates are July 6th, July 10th, July 17th, and 31st. This is online, so make sure to register for the info sessions. The info session was held already on June 9th. I'm sure there's a recording or something available. And if you'd like to visit for more information, go to icoresne.org. This is focusing on an innovation or idea that generally relates to clean technologies, including agriculture, water, waste, carbon capture, chemicals, or advanced materials, energy generation, energy efficiency, transportation. So this is a cohort and it's a 4-session program. If this is something that is beneficial to you, we highly recommend that you check it out. Another program is Propellus I-4 Regional Program, which this is different. You have to apply to this by June 29th. So definitely 10 days or so. And the program will be held July 24th, 26th, August 2nd, and August 16th. This is to provide training and grants to support team-based customer research aimed at investigating the viability and societal impact of scientific and technological discoveries. Again, it's a 4-session program. The benefits are training, funding, resources, follow-on opportunities. And if you'd like to learn more and apply, email any of the hub coordinators through this website. Next, we have a press release published just 2 days ago. NJEDA seeks information to support commercial building decarbonization projects. They've issued a request for information seeking insight from qualified stakeholders on opportunities to accelerate building decarbonization within the commercial building sector. RFI can be found with responses due by July 6th. And again, who has to respond, all of this information can be found on this website. Next is a press release application open for NJEDA's Activation, Revitalization, and Transformation Program for Arts and Real Estate Development Projects in Atlantic City and Newark. It's a pilot program to increase foot traffic and catalytic development in municipalities impacted by COVID. If you'd like to register or learn more about the program, visit this site and you'll be able to know more. All right, we do have a guest speaker today. But before we get to that, I'm sorry, things to keep in mind, some housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, let us know in the Q&A box, not the chat box, because your questions will get lost in all the responses that we have coming in the chat. So we have a Q&A session after, so anything relevant to the presentation, let us know and we'll address them. And then the slides from the presenter will be available if you complete a 3-minute survey. And again, this webinar is being recorded and it will be available on our website. We have Maku Etta, who is a program manager at New Jersey CSIT Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. Maku's our guest speaker today, and she has some information to share with our audience. So Maku, go ahead and share your screen. We're happy to help have you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Uzma. So just let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect.
And full screen, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me. I won't take up too much time, but we definitely wanted to join this conversation and talk a little bit about our recently launched Food and Agriculture Research and Development Pilot Seed Grant Program. So just a little bit about the commission. We are a statewide agency. We are responsible for strengthening the innovation economy within the state, really encouraging collaboration and connectivity between industry and academia, and the translation of innovations into successfully high growth businesses. And we do this by providing financial grants to early stage innovation-based companies, helping them to really accelerate their key product development. So we're excited to partner with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, the EDA, in launching this Food and Agriculture Seed Grant Program. The goal is really, for this program, there's a larger state initiative to really address access to healthy foods and really food insecurity in the state of New Jersey. And we're doing this by providing a seed grant to our early stage companies that are developing technologies or therapeutics in the areas of life science, technology, non-retail food and beverage, and transportation and logistics. And again, the goal of the program is really to identify and implement ways to increase access to nutritious foods and develop new approaches to alleviate food deserts in New Jersey. So if a company is applying, they're able to propose, if a company is working on, really innovative R&D tech, within these 4 industry areas, they're able to apply for this grant. This grant is awarded on a competitive basis, meaning that we score each eligible application that comes in, and based on the highest kind of score, the application can be recommended for an award. And what is that award? We are looking to award up to $75,000 for to applicants that are approved, and this is within the grant is within a 12-month period. Companies that are awarded can ask for an additional 3-month extension on that. And we're looking to make 10 awards. The applications are open. They opened on June 5th, and they'll be closing on July 14th. So again, more than enough time for companies to submit a proposal. You can only submit 1 proposal per company. But if you have any questions, I'll definitely leave my information in the chat box for anyone to reach out to us. And again, just the main objective, as I mentioned earlier, is the grant is looking to engage early stage companies, and we'll talk about the eligibility in a second. In New Jersey, to accelerate R&D of technologies to transform new discoveries from research stage into commercially viable products and services that address food security needs of communities across New Jersey by identifying and implementing ways to increase access to nutritious foods and develop new approaches to alleviate food deserts. Now, I think it's important to note that your proposals do not have to necessarily target a designated community in New Jersey that's designated as a food desert, but we do want to make sure that within the proposal, you're looking at the broader issue around food insecurity. These are just some of the eligibility requirements. All of this information is on our website, and there is a notice of funding available for your review. So the company must be in good standings to conduct business in New Jersey. You have to be a registered New Jersey-based company. You can be incorporated in Delaware, for instance, but you do have to be registered in New Jersey. We'll be requiring a tax claim certificate for validation on that. You have to have a minimum of at least 1 full-time worker within the company. A worker could be a founder, and they can be paid or unpaid. So if you are a very small company and you do not right now provide a salary to anyone, that's quite all right. As long as there is 1 full-time worker. 50% or more of the cumulative hours worked by all workers, founders, and contractors must be conducted in New Jersey. Have no more than 25 full-time equivalent workers at the time of application. So again, we're looking at some of our smaller startup companies and less than 2 million in previous calendar year sales revenue, excluding grant revenue. So we don't hold it against you if you've received an SBIR grant or other federal grants. That will not count as your as this revenue eligibility. And just a very important piece of the last kind of very important piece here, that anyone that works for your company, because of current legislation, if there is someone that works for the company that owns more than 1% of stock, and that's an employee or an officer of a state agency, that includes some of our state universities and institutions, the company is unfortunately not qualified to apply. This is a state legislation that we're trying to quickly change. So if there are any, again, the applications are open. If anyone has any questions, you can email myself at csitfoodagr@njeda.com, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have. On our website, you will be able to find not only a sample application that you can review and get a sense of the questions, you'll also be able to find an informational webinar that we held on June 5th as well as a slide deck for that webinar that also walks you through the application process. But we encourage everyone to really leverage this grant opportunity. And, again, we're really happy that we were able to share this. And, at the end, I'm happy to stay on and take on any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Maku. This is really valuable information for our audience. So I would appreciate if you're able to, I know you mentioned an email address, and I know there are questions regarding that.
Yes.
So if you can put that in the chat,
Sure.
please feel free to do so. And our audience do have some questions. And I just want to remind everyone, Maku will be staying for the Q&A, and we'll be able to address them. So just a reminder. Thank you.
Not a problem.
All right. So our audience is here for our presenter. And just a reminder, the webinar today is part of our tech series, and we've done 3 webinars already. Today is our 4th one, USDA SBIR STTR grants, empowering innovators in agriculture and beyond. We do have 2 more, and all of these webinars are available on our website. Again, today's webinar is also being recorded. It will be available on our website or YouTube. You just have to search up NJSBDC YouTube or something like that. And I'll be sharing or showing the website that we have towards the end as well. All right, without taking up a lot of our time, we do have Melinda Kaufman from SBIR STTR programs at USDA. Unfortunately, Nuran couldn't be here, but Melinda is here for us, and we're so excited for all of this valuable information you'll be sharing. Melinda, thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and share your screen.
Okay.
Awesome.
While I'm just getting this set up, I want to thank you very much for inviting me. We're very excited to be here and hope that this information will be valuable. There. Does that show up in presenters mode?
Exactly.
Great.
We have it. Thank you.
Wonderful. So I'm Melinda Kaufman, and I'm the Small Business Innovation and Research, or SBIR, and Small Business Technology Transfer, or STTR, program coordinator for the USDA, and we are housed within the National Institute of Food and Agriculture within the USDA, or we refer to it as NIFA. So for all SBIR programs, these are some of the program goals. So the idea behind it is to stimulate scientific and technical innovations in the private sector of the U.S. economy, and doing that through small businesses. So small businesses are kind of the backbone of the U.S. economy, and that was recognized, and this is a way to strengthen both science and small business. And then as part of that, it means to really increase the commercialization of innovations and not let innovations get stuck in the pipeline. And very importantly, we want to foster and encourage participation by historically underserved populations. And I'll be talking about that a little bit more as we go along. This is the USDA non-discrimination statement. You will get a copy of this, so I'm not going to read it to you in full. I'll just summarize it. But we do. I want you to know that we do take it very seriously, and it is very important to us. So basically, it's the USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender. Additional details are included on the slide, and a link to the USDA's non-discrimination statement, 508 compliance, and filing and discrimination complaints. We encourage audience members to reference this slide if they have any questions or concerns. So SBIR and STTR programs are categorized into 3 phases. Phase 1 is typically a shorter phase because it is a feasibility. It's just establishing the feasibility with a proof of concept research for your innovation. Phase 2 is typically a longer stage where you continue the research and development research, but you also start to kind of ramp up the commercialization piece of your project. And so phase 2 is usually much longer in length. Phase 3 is not funded typically by the United States government. There are exceptions to that, but typically it is not. That's where you go out and you find other investors, angel investors, possibly larger companies that want to buy you out. But that is for alternative funding, and so really the main focus here is on commercialization. We have an annual budget. This is, I apologize, this is a little smaller. It's actually around $38 million, and we didn't update it, so I apologize. For USDA, for phase 1, our award amounts range from $125,000 to $175,000. And for SBIR, the length of the project is 8 months, while STTR is 12 months. For phase 2, all topic areas are funded at $600,000, and those project periods run 24 months. I do want to add here, going back to phase 1, that we do recognize, especially being the Department of Agriculture, that some projects might have a longer period than 8 months, and it's very easy to get a no-cost extension. So that happens lots of times with crop-based projects that you need a little bit more time, and that's no problem. So just a little bit, STTR is new to us this year in FY23. This is our first year. And so these are kind of the major elements that show the differences between SBIR and STTR. There are many similarities, but these are kind of the major differences. So a nonprofit research institution or a federally funded R&D center, partnering with them for SBIR, that is an option. You may do that. For STTR, that is required. So you must do that. And then that percent of participation with for instance, a university or a federal funded lab. For SBIR, it's 33% or less for phase 1. And then it is less than 50% for phase 2. For STTR, it's 30 to 60% for both phase 1 and phase 2. And there is, right here, I want to explain that there is an option to apply for both. So when you're applying for a USDA SBIR STTR grant, there is a place you can mark that you are applying for both, which probably actually is more accurate to say either. And if your percent of research by the Nonprofit Research Institute or federally funded lab is between 30 and 33%, then that would qualify you for either SBIR and STTR or STTR. Another difference is about the primary employment of the principal investigator with SBIR. That principal investigator must be with the small business. For STTR, it can be either the small business or the nonprofit research institution. And then a formal cooperative agreement is not required for SBIR, but it is required for STTR. So this just gives you some idea of our success rate. It stays pretty steady for phase 1. Phase 1 is very competitive, so it stays right around 15%. For phase 2, there is a much greater award rate for phase 2. And I will mention here that we don't have a direct to phase 2. Some SBIR programs do, but the USDA does not. So you have to have a phase 1 that you've successfully completed or are on the way to successfully completing to apply for a phase 2. But as you can see, those we're getting closer and closer to a 50% success rate with phase 2 applications. And we do encourage you with phase 2 applications to make sure it's your best effort, because you can only apply once for those. And so if you need to wait a cycle to make sure that your application for phase 2 is really the best it can be, that is not a problem. You're more than welcome to do that. So see, these are some of the success metrics. Success is measured by the sales of technology and services, by the licenses, and by the number of new jobs created by your project. And then some features of the USDA SBIR program and STTR program is that ideas are investigator initiated, and the awards are based both on scientific and technical merit and the commercial potential of the innovation. Also taken into consideration is the PI and the company qualifications. Subcontracting to university and federal labs is allowed for SBIR. It's required for STTR. And then we offer technical and business assistance, or TABA. And technical and business assistance is commonly offered in SBIR programs across the federal government. So it was introduced as part of the John S. McCain National Defense Authorization Act in the year 2019, the fiscal year 2019. And TABA can include all kinds of things. This is not a comprehensive list. This is just an example of some of the things that might be included, or, legal costs for intellectual property, marketing, market research, consults on funding strategies, and financial review. So the budget for TABA, it's very important to note that the amount of money given for TABA does not come out of your budget. It is on top of your budget. USDA pays for this. So for phase 1, that's $6,500. And if you'll recall, in phase 1, you're really focusing on the feasibility, a proof of concept research project. And so in phase 1, what you're doing with commercialization is mainly developing a commercialization plan for phase 2, where the focus on commercialization is going to increase quite dramatically. So phase 1, you're focused on proof of concept and then building your plan for phase 2. And then phase 2, $50,000 is available for commercialization activities. So it's a much greater amount because you're going to be doing a lot more around commercialization. These are the USDA SBIR STTR topic areas. The topic areas are the same for SBIR and STTR. These topic areas, there are 10 of them, and they're all very broad. So together, all of these topic areas encompass all of agriculture. And so maybe one of the, it's not a downfall, but one of the confusions with these broad topic areas is that many times people will find that their innovation fits into more than one topic area, but there are ways that we can help you decide which topic area is best suited for your project. So we have everything from forests and related resources to, we have 2, plant production and protection. 8.2 is focused on biology. 8.13 is focused on engineering for plant protection and production. We have animal production and protection, conservation of natural resources, air, soil, and water. Food science and nutrition is a very large topic area. And then we have aquaculture, and then we have biofuels and bio-based products. These other 2, rural and community development and small and mid-sized farms, that's 8.6 and 8.12. They have asterisks and they are a different color because they're just slightly different than the other topic areas. So the other 8 topic areas, they're all funded at $175,000 for phase 1. And they require a novel scientific or technical project. So this is redundant, but to get the point across, a completely new innovation. For 8.6 and 8.12, you can take off-the-shelf technology and apply it in an innovative way. So those are just a little bit different in those ways, and they are funded, these 2 topic areas are funded at $125,000 for phase 1. For phase 2, all 10 topic areas are funded at $600,000. And this slide is just, we leave this slide in because just to remind people that agriculture is very much a scientific field and that we deal with all of these types of science, including more. This is just an example of the types of science we deal with, but agriculture is very much a scientific area. Some people don't quite understand that, but it's true. So if you have a scientific or technical innovation, it might be worth taking some time to think about whether or not you have an agricultural application for your innovation, because you very well might. Typical program timelines. For phase 1, we typically release that in July. The proposal deadline has been in October. This year, we're going to try to move that back a little bit to September. September 19th is our preliminary closing date for phase 1. Then reviews and award notifications will go from December through possibly early February, December, January, more likely. And the start date for phase 1 is July. For phase 2, again, that's only open to phase 1 awardees. The solicitation is typically released in December, and the proposal deadline is in March. Reviews and award notifications, April through June, and start dates for phase 2s is September. So a little bit about our review process. We are a grant-based program. Some SBIR programs are contract-based, but this is grant-based. And so our proposals are reviewed and evaluated by a confidential peer review panel, and we use outside experts for that. Many from academia, some from industry, some from nonprofits, and some from federal labs. All applicants will receive verbatim copies of their reviews, and the information you get, the reviews that you get from the panels are really meant to make your project stronger, your application stronger, to make it more competitive. Because if you'll recall, phase 1 has a 15% success rate. So it's very common for phase 1 applicants to apply more than one time. And if you take that feedback from the panelists and you apply it, tweak your proposal with that feedback, you should have a stronger proposal and a greater opportunity to succeed when you reapply for phase 1. And again, phase 2 applicants are only able to apply once. So this is for the SBIR program only. So it's about the involvement of university and government scientists' involvement with this SBIR program. So these scientists may serve as consultants or receive a subcontract and continue to work full-time at their home institution. So they're limited to no more than 1/3 of the phase 1 award or 1/2 of the phase 2 award. This is again for SBIR. And then scientists may serve as the primary principal investigator by reducing their employment at their home institution to 49% or less during the duration of the grant. Usually is not acceptable to use the scientists' own lab facilities. They have to secure other facilities for their project for SBIR. And then for STTR, the role of university and government scientists, the principal investigator may be employed either with the small business or the research institution, so that gives a little more flexibility. And STTR, the small business, must perform 40% of the work on the project. The research institution must perform a minimum of 30% of the research and development. The other 30%, it can be outsourced to either that research institution or a different subcontractor, depending on the needs of your project. There are also cooperative research and development agreements, or CRADAs, that are available. And so what a CRADA is, an agreement with a federal lab or a license with a federal lab, or a federal license, I mean. And it is one of the only things that we can give a distinct advantage for. So if there are two proposals that the peer review panel assesses to be of approximate equal merit, and one has a CRADA agreement and the other does not, the CRADA agreement will automatically get that. So that's just a little bit of an advantage. There are other advantages to CRADA agreements in that you can use the lab resources for the federal lab and their equipment. The only equipment you would have to buy is if you need a special piece of equipment for your project that isn't the lab doesn't have. So there are many advantages to a CRADA agreement that are probably worth looking at. These next few slides are about how to increase your chances, improve your chances of award success. So if you demonstrate in your proposal the high scientific and technical merit along with the commercial potential, those two things are pretty equal with SBIR and STTR grants. So trying to demonstrate both of them. In a phase one, you're going to have more focus on the scientific and technical merit, and you will address the commercial potential of your project, but that'll be take up more of your proposal for phase two. And then a balance of high risk, high reward. We fund it. We are not afraid of high risk, high reward proposals. So if you feel like that is where your project falls, don't hesitate to apply for a USDA SBIR or STTR award, because we recognize that high risk, high reward projects are often, disruptors of industries and sectors. And so we take those seriously, and we would be happy to fund those, as well as ones that are, medium risk, medium reward. Those are also valuable. So we don't exclusively do high risk, high reward, but we do consider them seriously. Make sure you have good consultants, and then remember that CRADA agreement. That's something you can look into if you feel like it's a good fit for you. And demonstrating that you have some business expertise on your team, because for that commercialization piece, having strong letters of support from phase three partners, end users, that can be investors, customers, end users, that type of thing. Having some letters of support is really important if you're able to do that. And then demonstrate in your proposal that you do have a clear understanding of how you're going to gain entry into the market. And then once you have entered the commercialization piece, how you're going to sustain yourself in that market. For phase one, there are several registrations that are required, and this is more on a practical note, but it's very important because every year we have people that have not done all of the registrations, and that keeps them from being able to apply. So you need to register with SBIR.gov. That's a very straightforward process. And then complete the required steps necessary to register on grants.gov, which mainly is registering with SAM.gov. And if you've already registered with SAM.gov, try to keep in mind that there is an annual update that you have to do. And so just make sure that you are up to date with that. With your initial SAM.gov registration, it can take a little while. It can take up to 2 weeks, with an additional 5 weeks more to require that unique identifier, that UEI. And so it's really important just to go ahead and get that done. So you're not waiting on that and not biting your nails at the end. Once you have your SAM.gov UEI, then you can create a grants.gov username and account. And that is the vehicle through which you apply for USDA SBIR STTR grants. So when I was talking about the 10 topic areas and that they're broad and that there's overlap, this is the way that you can, if you find yourself in that position, here is some help available to you. Each topic area has a national program leader, and you can ask for a consult. In addition to that, we have an SBIR STTR national program leader, Dr. David Songstad, and his contact information will be at the end of this. And you can request a consult from him, particularly if you feel like you fit into 2 or 3 topic areas and you're not sure which one to apply to. So you can contact him and ask for a consult. He's very responsive. He's familiar with all the topic areas. He's an accomplished scientist, so he will be, I think, a valuable resource. And so if you go that route and contact Dr. Songstad first, then once you decide which topic area you want to apply for, you can also ask for a consult from that topic area national program leader. And what I always suggest, but you don't have to do it this way, you can do it any way you want, is that if you, for these consults, if you just write a very brief 1 or 2 paragraph informal summary of your project and send it to the national program leader and ask for a consult, that gives them a little time to kind of think about your project and maybe give you a little better feedback. Those consultations usually range, depending on national program leader, from 15 minutes to 30 minutes at the most. Usually it's 15 to 20 minutes. So you want to make the best use of that time. Other things around your phase 1 application is to make sure and follow the application guidelines for format, page limits, and required documents. This is another thing that makes us sad, actually, because when people don't follow these guidelines, they get turned down at the administrative review. They don't go to panel. And we know you put a lot of work into it. We know there's some good ideas that we cannot push forward because they haven't followed the formatting or page limits. And why, the reason we're so strict on those is because, if our guidelines say, your spacing in your project narrative has to be 1.5 spaces, and you do one space, then you get a lot more space there to describe your project. And that is just, it's a fairness issue. We have to be equitable. And so that would not get passed on to panel. And then also make sure that all of the required documents are attached to your application. That's another thing that can knock you out and not push and keep your application from moving on to panel. So those are very important things. And then in the RFA, there is there's criteria listed, the review criteria, and make sure that your application responds to all that review criteria. So just link it back to that. And most importantly, the big green star, read the RFA, really get to know it. the answers to the vast majority of your questions are going to be found in the RFA. So, you know, I know you can search things online, but if you just download a copy of the RFA and then you can search it when you have a question, and that really works quite well. So in your phase 1 application, if you can kind of provide a vision of where you see your innovation going, what is the market opportunity? Where do you see this being at the end when you're in phase 3? Just let the panel see that, your dream, your vision. You don't need to spend a lot of time on it, but spending just a little bit of time so they understand. You've got them kind of set up to see where you're going with this. And then sell the importance of your project in alignment with those USDA priorities that are listed in the RFA. So it's very important to make connections between those USDA priorities and your project. And then, of course, you must provide a detailed experimental plan. That's very important to have in your project narrative. And it will be looked at, you know, very closely. And then, you know, providing that insight to the commercial potential that needs to be in your phase 1 application, even though it isn't the primary focus of your phase 1 project. And then show that connectivity to the communities that will be the end users of your projects, like with those letters of support. There are many application assistance resources, and we really encourage people to use them. The New Jersey Small Development Business Center is one of them, and they're available in every state. There's 67 or 62 of them in total throughout the United States. There are also FAST programs, and that funding is for women and socially and economically disadvantaged individuals and businesses that are in hub zones. This at the very bottom, the banner at the bottom, it's my personal favorite site for finding local assistance. So with SBIR.gov, you just go in there and put in your state, and it populates all the assistance organizations. For USDA SBIR outreach, we a couple of years ago, we started to do a lot of outreach to foster and encourage participation by underrepresented populations. That has gone quite well, and so we decided to increase that. We've provided outreach to assistance organizations and presented an overview of the program to anyone who's interested and will have us. We provide more than 3 overviews of the SBIR or STTR program a month. We participate in the SBA's outreach events. We're going to be doing a road tour in July. This will be the first one that the SBA has done since COVID. And so we're excited about that. There's booth and informal consultations at Tech Connect next week. So we'll be there with our booth, and if you're there, happen to be there, please stop by and talk with us, pick up a brochure. And then there's some other in-person events that we're starting to do that we're very excited about. In addition to those outreach events this year, in FY23, we contracted with an outreach organization called ICF Next. And we wanted to increase the depth and the breadth of our outreach. So ICF Next is helping us to connect with more small businesses and with the researchers that can assist them with developing proof of concept research projects. So that piece is really in development right now. We're very excited about it. But having, you know, there are a lot of small business out there that have great ideas, but maybe do not really have the research background. And we are working to find ways to connect those types of small businesses with researchers to help develop research designs that they can use for SBIR and STTR grants. And then just continuing to connect innovators with small business development centers, accelerators, state SBIR coordinators, all of those, and provide application workshops. We have an application workshop today. And so we're planning, this will be our first application workshop. So we're excited about having those. There'll be a recording of that. And then to help connect potential applicants with an organization that will guide them through a step-by-step process. And again, that kind of goes back to the small development business centers and the other assistance organizations. And then just briefly, I'm going to go over some USDA success stories, just to give you kind of a feel for what has been successful in the past. So this is Prairie Aquatech. Prairie Aquatech had a great deal of success quite quickly. They did their product is called MePro, and it is a natural process to convert soybean meal to fish feed using microbial enhancement. And they've had all kinds of commercial success. As you can see, they were a recipient of a 2019 Aquafeed Innovation Award in Germany, and they have a 30,000 square foot facility, and they've sold samples into at least 12 countries, and they're producing 30,000 tons of MePro annually. Stony Creek Colors, they developed an agricultural supply chain to replace synthetic dyes with plant-based drop-in solutions, and their product is called BioPreferred. They've had commercial sales of these high purity BioPreferred natural indigo dye to leading world brand customers. Sunsite Wind, they are from Lawrenceville, Georgia. The founder is Dr. Devin McIntosh. He's had 7 grants in developing this technology, which is very important, from 2002, ranging from 2002 to 2014. And that project is the manufacture of these small wind turbines. Then these turbines compete with rooftop solar, and they can operate even in moderate wind areas. So we're very excited about this innovation. Imbrex is an older success story, but we keep it on here just to show what can happen with an innovation for SBIR. So this Imbrex, they developed a higher throughput and superior technology for ovo vaccination. This provided benefits to enhance the efficiency of bird performance. In 2001, they had $44 million in revenues, and their employees increased from less than 10 to greater than 200. And then they were purchased by Pfizer. A great success story. This is our brochure, and this is a link to our brochure. I hope we'll take. It's new, and we're rather proud of it. So I hope you'll take a moment to look at it. We'll also have them at the SBIR Tech Connect conference next week. So if you're there, I hope you will stop by. Again, I'm Melinda Kaufman. I'm the program coordinator. This is David Songstad, whom I spoke about before. He's the national program leader for SBIR STTR, and he can help you if you're having difficulty around which topic area to apply to. He is also the national program leader for 8.H, which is biofuels and bio-based products. We have 2 really superior program specialists, Tammy Neville. She's one of our SBIR STTR program specialists, and Dr. Nurun Nahar, who has tried to be here today but was unable to make it due to other work demands. And so I'm sorry she couldn't attend, but she's an excellent resource also for you. And this is our website, and we hope our website is fairly new, and we keep adding to it and improving it. So I hope you will go take a look at our website. There's lots of valuable information there. And thank you very much for allowing me to share with you a little bit about our program.
Thank you so much, Melinda. We really, really appreciate it. This is the first time that we've had an informational session on the NIFA program, and I'm sure this is great information for our attendees. We do have a lot of questions, so it is 12:56. We understand if our attendees who may have taken a lunch break or something and attended. So if you have to go, we completely understand it, but we do have time for a Q&A. Just remember, this recording is available, will be available on our website in 2 to 3 business days. That link will be shared in the chat. And if you complete a survey about this webinar, won't take you more than 2-3 minutes. The link to these slides that Melinda shared and Maku shared will be available. All right, so let's go through our questions. We have a question from Young, who asks, can a company pursue this program and another STTR SBIR program?
Yes, that's an excellent question. And you can. So there are 11 SBIR programs across the federal government, and many of those, for instance, I'll just say, take the Department of Defense, for instance. Within the Department of Defense, there's an SBIR program for the Air Force, the Navy. So there's really more than 11 programs. We are the only one for USDA, but you can take a proposal, the same idea, and you can apply to multiple SBIR, STTR programs across the federal government. So just as hypothetically, say you had one that fit USDA and NSF and let's say the Department of Energy, all 3 of those, and they had different dates for their RFAs. You could apply with the same proposal to each one of those, therefore kind of increasing your odds of receiving an award. However, there's one caution, and it's a big caution. You can only accept one award so if you get offered by more than one, say NSF offers and USDA offers, you can only accept one for the same proposal. You can have different proposals and receive more than one, but if you accept a proposal, an award for the same proposal for more than one SBIR program, then that's kind of big trouble. I'll just warn you that way. You don't want to do that. Should I go to the next question? I can't, you're sounding.
Uzma, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's right.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for letting me know. We did have questions on like phase 1 and phase 2. So for example, a recent question that came in from Bhupender is that, want to make sure I understand, one can apply for phase 1 only once, or can the same be submitted next year if rejected first time?
Yes, I understand why that might be confusing. You can apply for phase 1 as many times as you like. So there's no limit on that. It's phase 2 that you can only apply for once. You have to have a phase 1 in order to apply for phase 2, and you can only apply for phase 2 once with the same proposal. You can go back and do a new phase 1 and then apply for phase 2. But for phase 1, you can apply as many times as you like.
Perfect. I hope that answers our attendees' questions on the phase 1 and phase 2. We have a question from Anonymous. If the business has an indirect connection to food, for an example, an innovation that can source water into more remote areas, will it qualify for these grants?
Well, with that example, yes, I believe that would, you might want to look at topic area 8.4 might be one, which is conservation of natural resources, air, soil, and water. So if the water portion of this innovation is rather large, that might be an area you can, again, the 8.5 food science and nutrition is a large area and it's broad, so it might fit into there. So I would really encourage you to look. You can go to our website and look at the topic area descriptions. So that's what I would encourage you to do. But that example you gave should probably fit.
Got it. And as always, if there's, Melinda has shared information and email. Again, these slides will be shared. So if you would like to expand or have detailed questions, then please feel free to reach out, as a lot of these kind of, scenarios are like, it depends on this or that, and we cannot completely cover all the scenarios. Please reach out via email. Next question, how do you define a nonprofit research institution? Can it be a foundation?
Yes, it can be a foundation. It's often a university. But yes, those are two very good examples.
Okay, and then we have a question from Robert. How does the program address the Bayh-Dole Act with universities? I hope I said that correctly. Bayh, Bayh-Dole.
Yes. Well, the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, or NIFA, does deal with the Bayh-Dole Act. That is kind of outside of the SBIR program. Robert, if there's a more specific question you want to ask about SBIR and the Bayh-Dole Act, then I would be happy to try to answer that.
Got it. Thank you. And then from Stefan, sorry, are these grants that require payment with interest?
This is non-dilutive funding. So this is grant money that goes to you, and you use all the money on your project and on whatever you need for your project. And that's all outlined in the RFA. So consultants, subcontracts, equipment, that type of thing. You'll find it in the RFA.
Awesome. We have a question that says, are you able to share information and or examples of phase 1 applications that have been successful?
Well, there are a few success stories listed at the end of this presentation. And so there are those. There's also, if you go to, if you Google NIFA Chris link, there are examples. I don't have the exact website, but if you Google this, you can find a lot of different, and it's a tool that allows you to search like by grant program. NIFA is a agricultural scientific granting program. And so you can search by category, you can search by SBIR, and you might find some other interesting grant programs in there too. So that's where I would suggest that you go.
Got it. Yep, and there you go. You typed it out. So hopefully that helps, Richard. We have Erlinda, who asks, if my company imports a product that is derived from agriculture, can we apply for the grant?
If a product is only available in another country, it's not available here, and it is part of an important part of your project, yes, that is. Now, if that agricultural product is available in the United States or grown in the United States, then we would expect you to use it from the United States. But that has happened, that there have been products from other countries, and that is allowed.
Got it. And we'll take a couple of more questions as well. If there are some questions here that are a little specific and that would require, like a one-on-one session. So we recommend that you please reach out to our tech team for counseling. Again, it is at no cost. As Melinda mentioned, you can reach out for consultation from SBDCs or auxiliary programs or I-Core programs. Please feel free to do so. From Robert, question, how is intellectual property, including know-how, protected from peer reviewers using the intellectual property? For example, are the reviewers prevented by federal contract to not work in the area or with the know-how for several years?
We have a very rigorous conflict of interest process with our peer reviewers. And so that is what is used with the peer, when the peer reviews are applying and when the proposals are decided on, then there is a process that each panel goes through to make sure there are no conflicts of interest. If there is a conflict of interest with a peer reviewer, then that reviewer does not participate in that part with that proposal. So we're very cognizant of that, and we're very careful of that, and we're very, in general, very careful of protecting intellectual property.
Got it. Okay, so a couple more. I know you mentioned a workshop starting from today. I think our audience wants to know if there is anything happening next week or where they can find more information on that.
Sure. You will be able to find that information. It will be posted, this workshop, the application workshop will be posted on our website. So give it probably a couple of weeks, and then you'll be able to find it on our website. And then we may do a repeat. This is the first time we've done the application workshop, but you should be able to find that. And other events coming up, sadly, I only know what's happening this week. And so I would have to look and check and see what's coming up in the next few weeks. But I would say that for this audience, that application workshop is probably the most valuable.
All right, and we have a question from Roy, who asks, would this support nonprofit agriculture that crosses other countries?
This program is only for for-profit small businesses. So we do not do nonprofit. And as far as across other countries, I'll relate that back to the other question about if there is a product that you want to promote in the United States and bring to the United States that is not already available in the United States, then that is allowable. But nonprofit is not allowable. And we wanted, and just in general, as much as can be done in the United States is what we want. We do want innovations to benefit the American public, but we want that to go beyond the American public, ideally, but we want to start with our taxpayers in this country and promote it in the United States primarily.
All right. Thank you. We will take one more question, and then there are a couple more questions, for example, from Charles and Anonymous. Those are, I don't think we're able to cover those in this webinar. Please reach out to our tech team. You can just Google NJSBDC tech team and you can request counseling from there. All right, one last question for this webinar. Anonymous asks, can nonprofit for-profit joint ventures apply? And can they apply and receive different SBIR programs?
Yeah, we have had, that's a good question. And we have had nonprofits that have a for-profit branch or develop a for-profit branch. And as long as you have a for-profit small business that qualifies as a small business, then that is fine. I'll just quickly address Charles and the mushrooms, cultivation and mushrooms. There are projects with mushrooms, and I would suggest that you reach out to David Songstad, who's listed at the end of these slides, to talk about where mushrooms might fit.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Melinda, so much. We did have questions for Maku. Maku answered them through the chat. So again, also Maku, thank you so much for being here with us today and helping our sharing the information with our audience. We really appreciate both of you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So finishing off our webinar, thank you all for staying with us this long. I just wanted to mention that the tech team page, the website that we mentioned, part of NJSBDC, excuse me, is this website here. It is part of our main website, NJSBDC.com. And you can see that we've done many webinars, our team, you can see who's part of the team. You can see that we provide assistance with SBIR and STTR phase 1, 2, 3. We can help with pitch and proposal review, and review is the key word because we're not legally allowed to work on your proposals. We can definitely review if you submitted and you've gotten comments back. We can help you resubmit, and we can help you support towards commercialization. And this is our njsmallbusinesshelp.com/NJ Thrives website. And this is where you can see that all our NJ Thrives small business webinars that we do, just like this one, they are recorded and available on this website. And as you can see, we've done, tech as part of the tech series, we've done like discover your business model and grantsmanship and proposal writing, things like that. So we do have those webinars available if you're interested. And this webinar will also be available on that website in a couple of days or on our YouTube channel. All right, so as again, part of the tech series, we have Cheryl Vickroy on June 22nd next week, a practical guide to SBIR STTR research for small businesses. Again, visit our website to register, just like you registered for this event. And yeah, again, no cost pitch to proposal consulting, training events starting at $0, just like this one, exclusive small business tech resources, but not just tech. We also help with any other areas where you need assistance, whether it's marketing, e-commerce, accounting. We have webinars and consultants that can help you with like QuickBooks, things like that. Please visit njsbdc.com. I will sign off. Please take care of yourselves. Please remember to join us next week if the topic is of interest to you. Again, Melinda and Maku, thank you so much for joining. And with that, we're signing off. See you next week.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.